Hello everyone, let me tell you a story. When I was a young lad, and well, not young, like high school, I played this game called Hyrule Warriors, and I wasn't even a big Zelda fan. I played like Majora's Mask, Spirit Tracks, Link Between Worlds, but even then I could appreciate it because, oh my god, there's Skull Kid. Oh my god, there are all the major NPCs from Ocarina of Time, and it had pretty much every character you'd ever want from any Zelda game. So that was cool. I liked that a lot. You know, even as like a 50% Zelda fan, like I'd say I've played some of them, like maybe 30-40% of them, I was still able to greatly enjoy the game because it had all the content I wanted. You know, you got Toon Link in there, I think it had some Spirit Tracks references. That was my childhood Zelda. So then they announced Fire Emblem Warriors, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna be able to play as Roy and Ike and like everyone in an action game. And then it was just like Fate's Awakening characters with Marth thrown in as a token. Cool. And then they announced Fire Emblem Warriors 2, and it's just Three Houses characters. Cool. So, in this video, I'm going to be going over a roster for the game that I think would be cool if they made like an actual Fire Emblem Warriors 2 that wasn't just Three Houses. Here's what I think the roster could be. I don't know, IS if you want to make a game, please. But here's the thing, I'm gonna be limiting it to 2 per, because in the original Hyrule Warriors, each game had like 2 or 3 for like Majora's Mask. You had like Young Link, Skull Kid, Tingle, that's his name, yeah. For like Ocarina of Time, you had like the Goron guy and like the Princess of the Fish. So yeah, like about 2 for each. So, and like, I'm not gonna just be picking my favorites. I'm not gonna go, oh yeah, Gordon. I'm gonna be picking like realistic choices that they would actually put in a Warriors game. And I'm not gonna do characters that are already in the game because you already know what their movesets look like if you've like seen any footage of it. And I'm not gonna be picking Lords or Lord adjacent characters. By Lord adjacent, I mean like Julia, Nana, Lilina, you know, characters like that who are like pretty much Lords. So none of that. Because if it's going to be this big crossover game anyway, they're going to be in regardless, so I don't think their inclusion would be interesting. So for a baseline, before I actually start picking characters, all Lords and Lord adjacent characters are presumably already in this, and so is every character from the last game. So, for Arcanea, I would pick Hardin. Now in Hyrule Warriors, you could switch between different weapons, like you could do the Flame Rod on Link, you could do the top spinning thing on Link, you could just do the Master Sword. So for this, I think he could have like a horse mode, and then a dark sphere mode. And then for his horse mode, like, you know, he would just like, you know, go around using his iconic silver sword. And then for his special, I think it would be cool if he like summoned the rest of the wolf pack to do like a charge. Like, if we're doing this big crossover that celebrates the franchise, like Hyrule Warriors 1 did. Don't know why they abandoned that idea after one Hyrule Warriors game, but I would definitely want to squeeze in as many, references as possible, and him including the wolf pack in his super attack would definitely be very cool. And there's, you know, different weapon potential, like for his Dark Emperor mode, maybe his final move could be like, you know, Throwing the Gradivis or something. And then, honestly, for the second guy, I would pick Zane. Zane just has so much moveset potential. Imagine just mashing X on your controller and he's just constantly shifting into different guys. And then for his super move, I think it'd be cool to have it be random, right? Like, you hit the A button, and then he could, like, transform into Medius, he could transform into Nurgle, he could transform into Loptis, he could transform into Ashura, like, have his super attack just be randomly transforming into, like, any final boss, and then just doing a cool cutscene where he nukes all the enemies around him. That Zane has, like, the potential to have the coolest super move in the whole game. Alright. And then, moving on to Gaiden, my first pick would be Berkut, just because I think it'd be, like, fun visually, because he has, you know, that Spear of Evil with, like, the eye on it, right? So that's called, like, the Krimhilder or something. But then he also has, like, his stand, which is like his wife. So imagine you're just smashing X, smashing Y, doing combos, and then, like, a Fire Wife, whatever her name is, she's not an important character, just like, sweeping around, punching guys with fire, and she does like a little fire tornado where she like dances around. That'd just be a lot of fun, I think, just visually. Berkut has a lot of potential there. And then I would do Jenny again. moveset potential I think is fun, because right off the bat, like, you don't have to do too many levels before she starts getting her fun spells. Like, I think she gets Invoke around the boat chapters, right? Which is like chapter, like, what, 3 on Celica's route, assuming no grinding. And then, so for her combos, you could have her summon a bunch of ghost soldiers, so that'd be fun. And then for her super, in Echoes, she learns Expel, or Deer it is, I think, in some translations, where she just summons the light of the heavens and kills a bunch of random enemies around her. So imagine that, but in, like, HD in, like, an action game. Super cool, super cool. Yeah, so, like, and again, Alm and Celica are already implied for this, so yeah. And then for Holy War, ooh, Holy War, you know we gotta represent Arden, right? Like, I looked at the Fire Emblem Warriors roster before making this, and it's like, where's the funny? Where's the funny? You have Marth, like Lyn, Celica as, like, tokens, and then the rest is just Fate's Awakening. You do have Owain, so I guess you could say he's the funny because of the way he speaks. But nah, man, we need the real funny, and here he is. Imagine him just, like, slowly walking around the battlefield, but then when he does combos, they're actually super fast, because he would have, like, the Pursuit Ring in this, and he could do the Brave Sword, and imagine just him just doing a bunch of moves while screaming, I'm strong and I'm tough. And he's, like, probably the most iconic Fire Emblem 4 character that isn't a main character, like Sigurd, Arvis. Like, if you think of Fire Emblem 4 and you think of, like, side characters, Arden is, like, the guy that comes to mind. Is what I would say if Arya wasn't also, like, the most popular character in Genealogy of the Holy War Gen 1. Where is she? Yeah. But you already know. Everyone loves, well, I should say, not everyone loves Arya, because, you know, the whole thing with the genealogy is, like, you're not on a horse. You're not on a horse, you're bad. But, like, whatever. She has Astra. She's cool. She's the first sword woman in the series. And, like, Judgerall is the only game to have magic swords. Like, the Binding Blade is a magical sword, but that's obviously Roy's weapon. Like, Tellius has the Wind Sword, which is, like, I think the only other type of generic magic sword in the series. Well, actually, no, the Love and Sword is a thing across all the games, but, like, Arya could use, like, the Judgerall ones, like the Wind Sword, she can't use the Earth Sword. Well, actually, she can use the Earth Sword, because it's not Lachesis' perf. Or is it? It might be. Whatever, she can use the Lightning Sword, she can use the Fire Sword. I don't think there's an Ice Sword. No, there's not an Ice Sword. There's a Lightning Sword, though. It's not technically the Love and Sword, it's like a different thing, but, like, still, though, you could have that while she's doing all of her Astra moves, just flying around the whole battlefield. Like, besides Sigurd and, like, Deirdre and stuff, these are the two Gen 1 guys you gotta have. You gotta have Arden and Arya. Now, here's the thing about Gen 2, right? Like, I don't really think, like, Gen 2 did not leave an impression on me at all. And I don't think it did for a lot of people, because all the characters are just so whatever. Like, Azel and Lex join in Chapter 1, like, 2 turns in, and they got this whole thing going, and, like, oh, Azel, you got a crush on someone, and it's just so charming. Medea sucks, but I like the entire cast, except her. She stole Lewin's child from me. I don't like her, but I pretty much like everyone here. They're all just charming, their interactions are nice, and then you get to Gen 2, and it's like, every single character is made of cardboard, because here's the thing, they're all replaceable, right? You know, because Arya has the potential to not get married, so whoops, you can actually get this one instead, so, like, none of them leave an impression, right? You know, go on the internet and find me someone who's like, oh, Dermot, gotta rep my boy Dermot. They don't exist, especially for Lester, times a million for Lester. Scour the internet for people who actively go out of their way to like this guy. You won't find any, quickly at least, I promise you that. So for that reason, right, since all of these papers, like, obviously, Leaf and, like, ours aren't, because they're actually, like, always 100% there, but, like, so, like, Leaf and ours are obviously fan favorites. I like Leaf and ours, because they're meant to be there, you know, they're not, like, replaceable, they actually have written lines and stuff. But with all the rest of these guys, it's like, who cares? And, you know, a lot of their dialogue is even generic, too, like, Layla has a conversation with Lewin, where I thought it was cool, where it's like, oh, are you my father? Can you tell my father something? And he's like, nope, don't know what you're talking about. But apparently he can have that conversation with, like, anyone who's his daughter, so that's not, like, even a lean thing, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, so it's like, again, who cares? That's not your own unique character moment. So for that reason, for Gen 2, and I think a lot of the people feel the same, where it kind of falls off with the Gen 2. So for the Gen 2 rep, I would have Ishtar, and I would have... Where are you? Julius. Because they're like actual prominent characters. They show up in a lot of chapters. Ishtar chases you down for at least 3 chapters. You have to defeat her in one of them to get them both to leave. And they both have cool attacks. Like, imagine mashing the X and Y button, and the Loptis Dragon is just flying around shadowy stuff, him casting dark spells. Maybe he uses the Dead Lords. He doesn't have to, but it's whatever. And Ishtar has always had a super great design. Ishtar's a fan favorite. She was like one of the first Gen 2 characters to get added to Heroes, so that says something where she, even though she's an enemy, a lot of people like her. And she has the Mjolnir Tome, so she could get a bunch of cool lightning effects. So I wouldn't really add like any of the kids from Gen 2, honestly. I would add these two. You know, it's some villain representation. And then for Thracia, sorry if that turned into a bit of a little thing there about Gen 2, but I just really don't think any of these characters like would fit in like a crossover Warriors game. But enough about that. Olwen, baby. You already know, she's a Mage Knight. I don't think Vanilla Warriors has any of those except for Leo, but she'd be unique from Leo because she has 2 preferred weapons. The Dire Thunder, which is like the most iconic weapon in Fire Emblem at this point because of Heroes, and the Blessed Sword. So you got one weapon where she's just flying around, doing the Dire Thunder, boom, 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 like double lightning. You could like animate it in a special way so it's different from Ishtar's. And then like she could have the Miracle Sword. It gives like magic plus 10. I don't know what you do with that, but hey, they're the game developers, they could figure something out. And then I would have... Where is she? Where is she? Just tried to do a parody voice, please ignore that. Tina, okay? Now I'm gonna have to ask you to like picture this in your mind, how fun Tina would be, because I'm not an animator, I can't animate anything here, you're gonna have to picture it. Imagine Tina just going around the battlefield, dancing around the battlefield. She can use the warp staff, she teleports enemies around to the sky, and then they like fall, and then like gravity damages them. She can use re-warp, so imagine during her combo she's just flying all around. She has the thief staff, so she could like apply debuffs to enemies where they can't attack, and all the, like during this entire time she's just dancing around cutely. And it's just, it would just be so much fun to use all the ridiculous staves of Thracia. And then for her super, I was thinking Pern could like come out and like show her a caterpillar, and then she would just run through all the enemies like flailing her arms, and just, she just has so much moveset potential because of all of the stupid staves in Thracia. You know, you have like Sleep and Berserk. Like Thracia has all the stabs in the entire series that are like fun to use. So her moveset would like comprise entirely of that. And then for her super, like, if you've seen Phoenix Wright's, one of Phoenix Wright's Super Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where he summons Mia, I think her name is, and she just flails her arms. Imagine that, but with Tina doing it because she saw a caterpillar, because Pern showed it to her. That'd just be so funny. And then for Binding Blade, I think we're gonna have to go with... I think I scrolled past it. Alright, where are you? Huh. We're gonna have to go with my man, Gonzalez. Okay. We don't have one Infantry Axe unit yet in this entire game, and I don't think there's one in Fire Emblem Warriors. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you just have so much potential with this dude. With his Berserker crit and with his Brigade crit animation, he jumps up into the air and does, you know, the scream. If you've heard the scream, you know what I'm talking about. So imagine him just doing that during combos. And then for his super, you know, the Berserker crit where he throws his axe up into the air, it spins, and then he slams it down. Imagine, like, he throws the axe up into the air, it spins, and then he throws it down, and then it just creates a huge shockwave, okay? So you got the crit animation, that's iconic, you got that down, and Gonzalez is, like, one of the most unique characters in the series anyway, design-wise anyway, so I know, in terms of, like, Binding Blade, in my opinion, you gotta have Gonzalez. You gotta have Gonzalez. Imagine just going ape shit, like, jumping around the entire map, just slamming your axe into the ground. It's great. It's great. It'd be great. And then, honestly, Nime. Besides Julius, we don't have one Dark Mage yet. Like, Leo's a Dark Mage and Tharj is one, but, like, I don't care about them. But the thing about her is that she can use Apocalypse. And you know Apocalypse has the best attack animation in Fire Emblem 6. You got all the symbols, you got the Dark Void appearing, you got the Black Hole. Like, just make her entire moveset Apocalypse. It'd be visually stunning, and also the voice work you could do with her. Just going like the old lady grinding voice, you idiot, ha 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 ha. You know, imagine just her doing the witch cackle the entire time, calling the enemies idiots like she calls Hugh an idiot. It would just be so much fun to play as Nime. And then for Blazing Sword, you know, Hector, Elliewood, Lyn are like all implied since they're all the lords. I'm honestly not too sure with this game. Ooh, actually, yes. Jafar. Jafar is definitely one of the standout characters in this game, okay? I don't think we have any thieves or rogues yet in Fire Emblem Warriors Vanilla. I never played that game. Like, I got into the first hour, and I got so tragically bored because it was just, like, awakening characters for the first hour. So I just never played the game again. Whoops. So yeah, no thieves or rogues. And that's that. I did complete Hyrule Warriors, though. I beat the whole story mode, did a bunch of the map stuffs, because I obviously unlocked, you know, Skull Kid and all those characters. So I have experience with Warriors games, just not higher, because Fire Emblem Warriors disappointed me, you know, hence this video. But Jafar, the Angel of Death, you know, he could dual wield the daggers like he does, you know. Imagine one of his animations, you know, like when he's preparing to fight in Blazing Sword, where he, like, whips him out and does the little spin. Imagine that in, like, an action game. Ooh, so cool. He has his crit animation where he, like, jumps all around. Like, you've seen it if you've seen the cutscene where he kills Layla, essentially. And he's like the Angel of Death. He's, like, definitely one of the most iconic Fire Emblem 7 guys. Shows up a lot in the story. You gotta have Jafar. You gotta have Jafar. And I don't know if Ninian, like, I said Undermine Criteria, I don't know if, like, Ninian falls under Lord adjacent. Like, she kinda does, because she shows up a lot in the story, but, like, she's kind of just a dancer, and she's, like, dies, like, 75% of the way through and doesn't show up until the ending. So, you know what? Because she dies, she's not Lord adjacent. Okay. Because Lords don't die, unless you're Sigurd, but that's besides the point. It essentially becomes a different game when Sigurd dies. Like, nothing changes when she dies, essentially. You just get Nils instead. So, yeah. We already have Olivia as a dancer, but she's a dragon dancer, so imagine she's just dancing all around, like doing those cool animations where you dance, and then boom, Ice Dragon. It'd just be fun. And she's pretty important to the plot, too. Sacred Stones, for pure spectacle, LaRachel. LaRachel, you already know they would make all of her animations dazzling as she's going, Neo-ho, like, blinding light flashing the enemies going, that's what you get when you mess with LaRachel, the fabulous hero of the princess of, I forgot her nation's name, but LaRachel would just be such a treat in a game like this. You know, similar to Tina. You already know her animations would be like that. And she's kind of important to the plot somewhat too. And then, Noel, I think his summoning moveset would be cool, that's it really. I don't know if anyone else, like, I'm not the Sacred Stones guy, I'm not too in deep with the lore of this game, if I'm being honest, but I don't really know if anyone else in this game actually does anything particularly cool. Oh, and LaRachel could use Excalibur too, because I think that's the tome of her nation. Like, you go to LaRachel Town and then the dude gives you Excalibur. So yeah, she could use that too alongside her dazzling light magic. Or like staves or whatever. No, he can summon phantoms, that'd be cool. Alright, now for Tellius. Like, for Tellius, like, Lord adjacent. Alright, you already have Soth in this. Because he's like, it game over as if he dies. He's Lord adjacent. He's Lord adjacent, right? Like, so I'm not going to talk about him at all, alright? But you already know. We gotta have one of the goats in all of Fire Emblem. Now, find me one Tabarn hater on the entire internet. You won't. This guy, he shows up. He's like, Oliver, you're done, son. He kills him. He's got good characterization. His bond with Raisin is funny. You won't find one Tabarn hater on the entire internet. You won't. If you think you found one, I'm gonna accuse you of Photoshop. You won't, okay. So you got the universal love of Tabarn, right? And then you got the fact he turns into a cool hawk, and he's one of the only characters that can actually damage Ashnard. This dude's iconic. You gotta have Tabarn. Imagine just flying around to the entire map and just, like, tearing people up with your hawk beak. He could summon little tornadoes. Maybe he could just transform out of it and just start punching people, like just beating the shit out of them. You gotta have Tabarn. You gotta have Tabarn. You gotta have Tabarn. That's it really. And then I would definitely include... Where is he? So in Hyrule Warriors, if you don't know, there's a character in Zelda called Tingle, and he's a short little man who is kind of fat, who wears a green elf suit and thinks that he is a fairy. He is essentially a joke. He is the Zelda community's meme. Oliver is being included for the same reasons. Tinglewood, if you've ever seen his damage art in Heroes, you know. Alright, so Elise. I'm gonna be honest, this is kind of where the video is gonna kind of start to fall off a bit, because I can't really think of too many interesting characters to put in these games, because the games were already hogged by all these 2-game slot in the first place. However, I would definitely scroll too far. Put in my 2 choices at least would be, I think Anna's already in the game. My 2 choices would be, where are they? Shit, where actually are they? Henry, here they are. I would put in Flavio and Ballista. I think they're both like heroes, or like Ballista might be a warrior, but Flavio is definitely a hero. So you could have her use a combination of sword and axes, and they're both like a warrior king and a warrior queen, so that's cool. Like, they were, when I played Awakening, like, all those years ago, it was my first Fire Emblem game, I immediately liked these 2 the most, and like, when they didn't join my army, I was really sad, but then when they joined in the end, I was really happy, because I finally got to use them. And I really like them a lot. They're helpful throughout, like, the entire plot. You know, Ballista helps you a lot in the Volmark, and then he comes back and he's like, surprise, bitch. So they're definitely, like, iconic to the story. And you could have some fun stuff with them, like, you know, her using swords and axes. I don't know if we have that particular... Arden might be able to do it when he promotes, but, like, most people don't get Arden to promotion, he just sits in the castle, so a lot of people might not know he might be able to use axes someday, so don't tell anyone. So, and she's infantry too, so it's kind of different. But so you could have them, like, use... I don't know if warriors in Awakening use bows and axes, but I don't know, I just think they'd be fun together. And then for Noor, okay... Parry. Okay, now hear me out. Her personal skill has it so if she kills an enemy, she gains a stat boost. So imagine if in this game she was like kind of like momentum based, right? You know, if she kills a horde of enemies, she gets stronger, and then like if you don't kill another horde of enemies quickly, it wears out, so you're pressured to play very quickly to keep up her momentum. But if you did, she'd be better and do more damage than anyone else. And I think that'd just be a fun gameplay mechanic. It would really tie in well to a personal skill. Don't accuse me of anything else. April Fool's is over. You have nothing on me. And then I would put in... Where is it? Aha. Charlotte. First of all, besides Gonzalez, you don't have any ex-infantry. And she's like the only ex-infantry woman in like the series, I think. So that is pretty unique to her. And just imagine her... Like, I would imagine she would have, like maybe a counter move, where, like, okay, so imagine she just, like, does her act, like, maybe her super move, where she just, it's an act where she lays on the ground, and she's like, oh no, don't hurt me, and then, like, an enemy hits her, and then she just does, like, you know how in Fates, when her true nature gets revealed to, like, something devious, her face gets all contorted, and she goes, ooh, like, that was a terrible voice, ignore that, but she just gets their evil grin, with, like, sometimes her tongue out, like, imagine the enemy hits her and she just, the camera zooms in on her face and it does that evil grin, and then like she just starts swinging her axe furiously across the like entire radius of the attack. That'd just be such a cool animation, and I just think Charlotte would be really fun for this. Now for Hoshido. Who the hell is in Hoshido? I fucking hate all of these guys. Ooh, actually I don't. Renea. We don't have any bow flyers yet. Takumi's in the game. I don't know if he can become a Kenshi Knight, whatever. I didn't play Emblem Warriors, God help me. But she's fun. She's like the only Kenshi Knight in the series, so that'd be unique. You know, flying around shooting bows. I imagine, like, imagine you fly up. Her super could be like her flying up, and then she just sprays a bunch of arrows. Maybe they explode. No, like, in terms of Hoshido, none of these characters really stand out to me, if I'm being honest, except for one, which I saved for last. Now, when you think Fire Emblem Fates in general, what comes to mind? If you envision a chapter in the Fire Emblem Fates video game that really left an impression on you, an impression on all players and really made them go, Jesus Christ. You gotta have Fuga. If you're doing a crossover that spreads the love across the entire series, it celebrates Fire Emblem as a whole, you gotta have the guy with the most notorious chapter in the entire series. You gotta have Fuga's Wild Ride. I said W there for some reason, but imagine he can use spears, axes, and swords because he's a master of arms. Okay, so you got that, and imagine just he would have a move, he would have combos that blow enemies away. Like imagine he smashes an axe to the ground and he blows enemies away with wind, and then he does a spear spin like a helicopter, like Axel and Guilty Gear, that drags people towards you. His entire moveset would just be referencing the winds of change, or whatever that chapter is called. He's too iconic. You gotta have Fuga. And you're probably wondering, why no Three Houses section? If you don't remember, we're about to get a Warriors game that's just three houses. We're probably going to get all the Three Houses characters, so I don't really see a point on speculating what their movesets are. We're going to see them in like 2 months anyway. However, for my Three Houses pick, let's see. For my Three Houses pick, I'm picking Duke Archeon. Yep, that's it. That's my Three Houses pick. We're going to see in a few months anyway. So in conclusion, in my ideal Fire Emblem Warriors crossover game that I think everyone would love, with my roster picks, I don't know. Also, leave in the comments below who you think would be a cool roster pick. I might have overlooked someone's potential a bit, like when I was trash talking the Gen 2 characters. Maybe you know a secret about them that I don't. I know maybe Charlo has a super secret kung fu technique that I don't know because I never bothered reading anything about him. You can share that with me in the comments, and maybe I'll reconsider if they'd be cool in this action game or not, but pretty much. And you know, Marth and Seda obviously are here, you know, guiding on, but besides them, Hardin Zane, Berkut Jenny, Arden Ira Ishtar Julius, Olwyn Tina, Gonzalez Nime, what's this guy's name? Whatever, Scary Man Ninian, Jafar, Laracial Knoll, Tabarn Oliver, Flava and Ballista, Perry Charlotte, Renea, Fugo, and Duke Archeon. And that is it. That is my ideal roster for Fire Emblem Warriors 2 if it wasn't just a Three Houses game. And, yeah, that's it. See you later. Bye-bye.